This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time. He's got him. Side touch is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Ken and Ken in the Morning. Good morning, Nicholas. Happy Taco Tuesday. That's correct. It is Tuesday.
No, Nick, it's Special Brownie Tuesday. You'd be happy.
Let me see. Special Brownie Tuesday. So it's a BT or Taco T Tuesday T Taco Tuesday. I'll go with Taco Tuesday, Nicholas. I'm with you. Taco Tuesday. Special Brownie can be any day.
Yeah, well, it can be any day, but they're made fresh today.
I'll tell you who needs a special brownie today. Detroit Lion fan.
Let's get into it.
Frank Ragnow, for 6 years in Detroit, I've given it a lot of thought, and I've decided I'd rather retire than choke as a number one seed again.
He walked away at an early age, just like Barry did.
Just like Megatron did. Who knows that being in Detroit was worse on your stress levels than being president? I thought you'd appreciate that one, broski.
Dude, that's a big blow to the Lions. I mean, and compared to most non-Lions fans, I think I was kind of like one of the more generous people, kind of saying like, hey, I don't think their offense is going to suffer really at all, losing Ben Johnson, losing some of the other offensive coaches. They still retained, pretty much all their players. That's not the case anymore. This definitely isn't something that the Lions prepared for. Otherwise, they would have signed a center in free agency or drafted one. So I don't think the solution is going to be starting Graham Glasgow at center. If they do that, I mean, he's going to get steamrolled. You really can't start a rookie who, in Tate Ratledge, all he's done is play guard his whole career. So, I mean, that's too much for a rookie to start to learn a new position and learn a complex offense and start right away. I mean, that's not a solution. Their only option is to trade for a center, which is totally out of the norm for Brad Holmes, which leads me to another point I just have to get out of my system really quick. The Lions like to sit on 30 to 40 million in cap each season. People argue with me about that. Dude, when you have a window to win a Super Bowl, which a lot of times is only 2 years, you spend all your fucking cap money. You make a trade and you overpay for someone who might put you over the top. You have to roll the dice and do that. Now them sitting on all this cap space the last 2 years, now look what happened. To me, their window is closed now. Unless they can pull off some trade and get like a really high caliber center in there. Okay, I'm done. Thank you, guys.
But Broski, because I already saw this yesterday from a few different Lions fans. But Broski, they've played 5 or 6 other guys at center during OTAs last weekend. They knew this was happening. They're prepared. They're not going to miss a beat because they've already been playing people at center. Okay, I'm being a little facetious, but that's what some are saying. And I agree with you. I think losing Ragnow is massive for them.
Yep.
I mean, that's the anchor of your offensive line. And for him to just up and retire for 6 years in the league, right? I mean, you're screwed. And what is it with Detroit? Because you're right, Barry retires early. Megatron retires early. Now Ragnow. And look at other players in the league Kuechly, okay, retired early. Andrew Luck retired early. There's 5 really good players that have retired early, but guess what? 3 of them are from Detroit. What
Yeah.
are they doing in Detroit where these dudes retire early? So is St. Brown going to retire a year or two from now? Is J-Mo going to retire after this season? Who's next in Detroit to retire early? Because they cannot keep guys, it seems, for 10, 15 years. Oh, wait, they kept Matt Stafford. He wanted out there so bad. He won a vacation in Mexico, sought out a head coach for another team, said, dude, trade for me, please. Get me out of here. Bring me to L.A. Please do something. Yeah, we'll send him to Jared Goff because we can't stand him out here in L.A. Thank you. What is going on with Detroit? I don't get it. I don't get what their issue is up there.
Yeah, let's not forget, like, Taylor Decker did not have a stellar season last year. Like, you definitely saw his game. Like, he wasn't as good as in years past. So that's your left tackle. You know, like, their line went from a strength to, like, being very questionable. And you kind of saw it start to happen the last couple seasons where they were the best O-line in the league 2 years ago. And then last year, okay, like, they had times where they were one of the best, but overall, they definitely weren't the best. And now it's like they have they're going to have a whole new interior O-line with a declining left tackle.
Good morning, Eric. Eric, if you have not heard, after 6 seasons in the NFL, yes, he's played 6 seasons, but according to Lamar, I'm a little guy and wrong. But he's got 6 seasons of stats, so that would be 6 seasons. Anywho, because you missed it, Eric, we'll bring it back up for you because, you know, we care about you and you being up to date. Yep, he's given a lot of thought, and Frank Ragnow retired and has left Detroit early. It's a sad day for Detroit fans. And look, we're making fun of Detroit. We're making light of Detroit. And if you're a Lions fan, I get it. It's a rough day for you. And, yeah, we're piling on a little bit. But let's be honest. You're not replacing Ragnow tomorrow. You're kind of screwed now.
And, Eric, you got a shot now at your bet that might actually come to fruition, because that line taking a hell of a hit like that might be leading to a few less wins for them.
And you think Lamar's a Lions fan?
Oh yeah, he's the Spirit of Detroit podcast. He's a podcaster. He has a Lions channel.
Yeah, I know. It's always great when you're a podcaster from another podcast. And you come on another podcast and try to trash talk the host in the show, right? So good on you, Lamar. We'll be sure to tune in and watch with an attitude like that. You know what? I mean, no, he's under contract, right? He was under contract. He signed his second contract, so he's getting money. I just don't know what it is in Detroit, though, man. It's like the third big Detroit that's retired early in our lifetimes. Maybe there's a couple other guys that were lesser known, but it's a big blow for Detroit.
Huge. Like there's no way you can paint. There's no way you can paint this in a positive light. There's no way you can say, "Oh, Detroit was planning for this." Like, nah, absolutely
sorry,
not.
Lamar, you can't turn this one into a positive. What do you think there, Joe?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, just be honest. It's Detroit, dude, and I don't mean that as like completely as like the Detroit Lions, but like, you know, if pay people millions of dollars, who would want to live like? And then so they've been like historically a joke, right? Like, so not only do you play for like the worst team in the league, but then you live in literally like one of the worst cities in the entire country, like crime rate through the roof, like half of it's boarded and boarded up, and then like, you know, I don't know. That's just my opinion of Detroit.
So, Joe, you're saying it's not a very attractive place to raise a family?
I'm saying I'd rather live in Baltimore.
That's saying a lot. I was just in Baltimore, too. So, I mean, like, a hard day for him. Look, Lamar, if you hate it so much, dude, whatever. I mean, I'll make sure not to watch your show on Roku and Fire TV like we are. So, if you're gonna come here and just talk smack about how you are such a great show, whatever, dude, deuces, love you. Have a great life. Good luck with yourself. I could give two shits about you and your show. If you want to just come here and smack talk our show, I could give even less shits about you. Great that you like Broski. Cool. You don't need to come to our show and start trash talking everyone else on it and the show itself when I've never even heard of you before. So obviously you're not that big. Obviously we haven't heard of you. Whatever, dude. You're mad because we're making fun of your team. Well, I'm sorry you're a little child and can't handle it, little dude, to quote you. Hey, so deal with it, dude. Talk about it on your show. Have fun blasting us. I really could care less. All right. Now that we're done with dealing with Lamar, and I don't know why guys think they're going to come onto a podcast and trash talk the guys on air like we don't have control over them. I mean, yeah, thank you.
I don't know, but hey, if he actually did
about the show on his show, and his show's supposedly so much bigger, then it just means we'll have extra few hundred viewers tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
people will be like, "Hey, I wonder what he's talking about."
Yeah, look at Nicholas is saying about the comment about rather leaving Baltimore. It's not that bad anymore, right? That give Nicholas some love there for his city. He lives in the Detroit area. He's like, it's not as bad. I mean, look, I wouldn't want to live in the South Side of Chicago anymore, or I would never want to live in the South Side of Chicago to begin with.
Or the West Side.
Northwest burbs were okay. That's where I grew up, but even those places are changing. Look at going back to actual football, minus Lamar's whatever beating of his chest of how great his show isn't. I don't see them on our network, so obviously they're not that good. Detroit's gonna have some issues.
He is on the network.
Is he?
Yep.
Well, I've never really paid attention to him, so that should tell you much. Anywho, hey, yo, Ronald, Detroit's got an issue. Detroit needs to fix the issue. The problem's going to be Ragnar. It was brought up that before Lamar was going on his little rant about how awesome he is. Yeah, I know, terrible. Right?
Hey,
here.
I'm glad you're here with me, Ronald. I'm getting a little outweighed.
we don't mind Packer fans. We like Packer fans. Eric. Here's the thing.
That just made Green Bay's path to the NFC North title a lot easier.
I mean, it did weaken the North overall, but there was a comment that got buried up here after Lamar's ranting and raving about how small we are and how great he is, which is great for Lamar. Let me find it. That basically Ragnar didn't have any more guaranteed money. And look at, I don't think not having any more guaranteed money would be the reason why you straight up retire. That's maybe okay, I need to get a new deal, i.e. a certain guy in Vegas who was out of guaranteed money and went and got a new deal when the Raiders with let's be honest, a crap load of guaranteed money. So no, I don't think it was that.
Ken.
Yeah.
When you're one of the three best players in the NFL at your position, you can do that.
Yeah, and what I heard about Ragnar is he has forever case of turf toe. He has turf toe that can't be cured. He's had operations, and he's just literally going to have to live with it the rest of his life, which is very, very painful. And
good reason to retire.
Supposedly he's been toughing it out for the last 3 seasons. So, he was definitely a top 3 center in the league for a long time. And yeah, I mean, we saw what happened last year. You can have all the wide receivers, running backs, you could have a solid, at times a solid defense, whatever. If your interior O-line is trash, I mean, it's going to affect your running game, your passing game, your quarterback's going to get sacked. It's not good.
See, if I was Ragnar, I would have went to the doctor and been like, first of all, which toe is it? He knows obviously, but we don't know. But if it's if it's a big toe, I'm thinking go the Ronnie Lott route, dude. Go ahead and take the toe. I'll go ahead and get a couple more to play.
I was gonna say,
Ken, you're sitting here but come on, dude. You would give up your big toe right now for $2 million right now. You'd be like, I don't need that fucking toe, right? So if he's gonna get $10 million,
that big toe is real important for an offensive lineman for that push off.
Well, no, but he said if it was not the big toe, he would go that way.
If it wasn't the big toe, sure.
Yeah, if we're talking about a freaking pinky toe here, come on, dude, get rid of that thing. Like,
Absolutely.
And look, for guys like Lamar who got a little upset because we were a little trash talking with the way we started this talk on Ragnow, which of course we're going to be because we're all from the opposing teams in the division, or not Detroit because Joe's not in the division. Of course we're going to start off that way, but in all seriousness, this is something that now they have to deal with in Detroit. They've got to fill a hole at center. Ragnow retiring, maybe they were expecting it last week. They were told maybe a couple days, a little bit of a heads up. I'm sure he gave him a little bit of a heads up because he's a professional. You know, he's not one of them dudes who just also one day, hey, by the way, I'm gone. I'm sure he gave him a little bit of a heads up, but it was probably after the draft, after free agency, because obviously Detroit didn't try to make any moves there. So he probably gave him a little bit of heads up. Hey, guys, look, I've been trying to give it a go. It's not going to happen. I don't know. He wasn't at OTA, so he probably knew by that point. Good morning, Yoli. Probably knew by that point and said, hey, I can't give it a go for my health and my family. Look, I can't blame him. When Andrew Luck retired, we were like, wow, this guy could have like another 10-year career and make gobs of money. But, he's like, my health is more important than this money. And I've already made a good amount of money. And for Ragnow, look, he's made a good amount of money. He's made more money in his few years in the NFL than most of us will make in a lifetime. So, well, maybe not a lifetime, but, he made a crap load of money. It's going to set himself up well for the future. Seems like a smart guy. He's going to make more money doing things. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on Fox or CBS or one of those, something like that. Yep. Honestly, smart move for his future to ensure he's, has a future. I mean, we're not talking for him CTE or that stuff, but still, he's like, my body is more important than making $10 million to destroy it playing football this year. And I'll tell you what, he's not the first guy to say it, right? Even Urlacher, when his last contract expired, the Bears offered him like $2 million. He's like, it's not worth that money for me to destroy my body. I want at least $3 or $4 million. Now that was stupid. The Bears didn't pay him the extra $1 million. But still, his point was, it's not worth that amount of money for me to put my body through what it goes through. And there comes a point in every player's career, whether you're Brian Urlacher at the end of a Hall of Fame career and you're medaling over $1 million, or you're Ragnow early in your career and you're getting paid big dollars. And let's face it, the track Ragnow was going, he was going to get a massive payday his next contract. He probably would have been the best center in the league by his next contract in a year or two, right? He probably would have commanded that kind of money. Sure. He is leaving $20-30 million a year on the table. He knows this.
I mean, and honestly, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just to land the plane. He knows this, and he has the foresight to say, you know what, my health and my family are more important, and you got to respect that. Go ahead, Broski.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, that just speaks more toward like what I said earlier. Like, he really was playing through the like serious pain and stuff, I believe, for a few seasons. Like, he was really toughing it out, and he just got to the point where he can't tolerate it anymore. I heard him mention something about like he wants to be able to enjoy like his kids growing up and be able to play with them and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like turf toe, that's very painful, and that just lingers. And if that's going to be around his whole life, like, he's just going to have to manage it somehow. So playing football is not obviously a good way to manage that. It's going to make it worse. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Lions' first 3 games, I mean, look at it now: at Green Bay, at home against Chicago, at Baltimore. Man, that could be 0-3. And if you look at who they play week 4, it's the Cleveland Browns. What can we say about Cleveland? Their defensive line is nasty. Their defense is nasty. And by week 4, they should have the quarterback thing hopefully a little bit more figured out. Lions are going to have a rough start. What's that, Ken?
I said the key word in that one was hopefully, because
but their defense is good. My point is this: their D line is going to give that interior O line of the Lions fits.
Absolutely, I can agree with that point of it. but we've heard the old adage for many years ago in NFL passes that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. What are you saying when you got 4 or 5 of the guys on the roster? And each one of them's almost fighting for a starting spot.
Oh, I hear you, but whoever they roll with will have a few starts under his belt by then, and then hopefully the Lions are 0-3 by that point anyway. So in Goff, he could get banged out because he's not mobile. There's gonna be a lot of pressure coming at him up the middle. So
if it's Broski brings up the interesting point, the way the schedule works out now, and people are like, "But dude, we just lost a guy." But you lost the anchor of your line. Yeah, you still got Sewell. You still got some great players on that offense. But the center, you can't have pressure coming down the throat. You just can't. Like, the edge is hard enough. But if interior defenses are getting to your quarterback, 2 years ago, the single point of weakness in the Bears offensive line 2 years ago was the center position. Like, if you looked at PFF grades, and we know we don't look at – I got it. We don't love them. However, they do have their purpose. You looked at the PFF grades 2 years ago for the starting offensive line for the Bears. The guards and the tackles were grading in the green. I mean, they were doing okay. The center was not just red, but the deepest red, deeper red than like my voting district in Florida. That's how deep red it was. I live in District 1, Matt Gates. That's how deep red where I live is. That's how deep red the score was for the Bears center. Actually, probably deeper red. Okay? You can't, if your center isn't up to the par, your whole offensive line falls apart. It's a single point of failure that's going to destroy your line. You can go get by with a left tackle who might not be as good. You can get by with a right guard who might not be as good. Yeah, you'll have issues with your line, but you'll be serviceable. If your center is just basically like a turnstile, your offensive line is cooked. You can only compensate so much for the center compared to the other positions on the line.
See,
having a stud center makes a massive difference. And now you look at the first 3 games. Look at the first 4 games. Green Bay, Chicago, Baltimore, Cleveland. What do they all have in common? Good defensive lines. Good defensive lines with interior guys that can get in there. It's going to be a rough go for the Lions. And where I thought maybe they go 2-2 in that period, maybe 3-1. Now it really looks a lot tougher for them. Go ahead, Joe.
No, one guy.
Oh, who's Sorry.
Oh, see, I agree with what you say mostly, but I am going to push back on the left tackle aspect that you need at least a damn decent left tackle.
Well, I mean, if you're left tackle,
to be able to have a good line. Now, I can agree with the guards and right tackle to a degree, but left tackle, I would almost say is more important than the center.
Well, no, left tackle though. If you've got a really good left guard, your left tackle can kind of help compensate for that, right? If you've got, if you've got a mid left tackle, but you have a really good left guard. That left guard, same with on the right side, right? The guards can kind of help the tackles. And look, the guards can help the center, but it's a little bit harder helping the center than it is the tackles. And now if let's say, okay, you've got a really good guard, you have an okay tackle, and your center's trash, you're in trouble. You're in real trouble because you can only help one at a time. You can't help both. If you're the left guard, you can't help the left tackle and the center. If you're the right guard, you can't help the right tackle and the center. You can help one or the other. And sometimes you have a handful just trying to do it yourself. Thank you, Will. Bill, we know you're the biggest homer on the network, but all nothing but love for you and your Packer fans. But that's the problem. If you don't have a good center, they're just going to run you through the middle.
Yeah,
and
the other biggest issue,
pressure in the middle, they're going to start getting the pressure to the outside. So, I mean, you have to have that anchor at center. That's why the Bears have been searching for a center for so freaking long, because that's been like really it's not that they've had bad guards and tackles, like, because these guys go other places and they do well. It's just we haven't had a center. Center is crucial to that line. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
It's even more crucial because, like, I would argue that if your center sucks, then it's even worse because the center is the quarterback of the and he's the one that calls out protections, shift protections. Like, he's the one who basically tells everybody who to block. If you don't have a good center, like, who's capable of doing that, your whole offensive line is going to suffer. So I don't know, man.
I was going to say, granted,
Like,
your quarterback can make up for that, because we saw that the past couple of years with Jordan Love and Josh Myers. Because Josh Myers ain't the greatest center, and just about everybody's going to agree with that. But when you had Jordan Love sitting there calling out the protection schemes for him, he did a hell of a lot better. It's just, I don't think that some guys have the full mental capacity to be the quarterback of the line, and your quarterback does have to cover up.
So let's explore that then, Ken. Does Goff have the capability of doing what you just said Love did? I mean,
I think so. I think that's the strength of Goff's game, is between the ears. It's not physical talent. It's what he's got between his ears.
But Ken, the problem with that is if Jordan Love is having to call out protections, that's taking some of his time pre-snap at the line away that could be used on other, like, diagnosing the entire defense, rather than having to tell his offensive lineman what the center should be telling them, because the center is supposed to point out, hey, there's a blitzer coming here, hey, there's this coming here. Like, he's supposed to be doing that, and that all feeds into the quarterback's pre-snap reads, right? So to me, not having a center is that, I think that's the line.
I'm not going to
and for the quarterback.
I'm not going to disagree with Ken or Joe on this, but I'll tell you this: with Ragnow being gone, and let's say Ken's right, that's Goff. One Goff's strength is the mental piece of it. And Joe, you're right. Now it takes time away. So yes, I think you're both could be correct in this sense. Like, yeah, Goff might be able to do it, but initially, now he just had a couple years, basically his whole time in Detroit, where he's had Ragnow there who's able to do this for him. Now all of a sudden he has to do it. It's a change in his rhythm. His battle rhythm at the line has now changed. His cadence is going to change. There will be things that Goff will have to change in order to compensate for that, depending on who they get to be center. And look, maybe the Lions get lucky, because I'm not going to say this couldn't happen, but maybe they get lucky and one of these guys that they've tried out during OTAs at center works out and is serviceable, and Goff doesn't. But you're still not going to replace the level of play Ragnow got you in the first half of this season. You might get a guy, you might select a guy. I shouldn't say you might get a guy, because you probably already got the guy you got. You might select your starter, and by the mid-season, and he might become serviceable by some point of the year, if not right away. Serviceable, but still not going to be at Ragnow's level, and that line is going to suffer for it. And I don't want to say it's all doom and gloom. And we're of course we're saying a little worst case scenarioing for the Lions, how it's just going to be horrendously bad. Maybe it's not, but you're not going to replace Ragnow's talent. You're not going to replace what he's doing initially. By mid-year, you may be somewhat semblant to that, but you're still not going to be to his level. And yes, it is going to hurt Detroit. There will be plays that are going to happen negatively for Detroit that might not have happened had Ragnow still be playing.
Yeah, and a couple more things to consider. Like, Goff was the top play-action quarterback in the league last year and took the most snaps, like, under center, so not out of a shotgun, right? So if you can't do a fake handoff because you're getting rushed up the middle, then you really can't do play action. If you can't run the ball as well because your interior line stinks, you can't do play action as well. If you're taking all these snaps like directly under center, then you're not a mobile quarterback. Your interior line's not good. That's going to be a problem.
That's where I think it's really going to come into play, is Goff being able to step up in the pocket, because a lot of their run schemes run behind Penei Sewell. So you'd have a lot of the run game still the same, and I think relatively your play action is going to be close to the same. But in your regular passing situations, that's when I think Goff's going to feel it, because you're not going to have Ragnow there to where hey, I can just step up behind this guy and I'll be all right. Because Goff's kind of like Brady in that sense, to where they're not mobile, but they work the pocket decently well.
Also, on one of the most important things on an offense is the exchange between the quarterback and the center. Like, he's had the same center for how many years now? Now he has to go with a new center. Like, that's going to take time for them to develop. I mean, maybe through training camp they can get it down to where you're not going to see like fumbles, but I don't know. That's another thing that could potentially happen.
Well, Joe,
Like
you bring a good
that-
point. That center to quarterback exchange is now going to be different, and I don't think that's like the biggest piece of it, right? Because these guys,
No.
they kind of adjust quickly, but there's still going to have to be, like I said, an adjustment, right? There's still going to be an adjustment there at that level on the exchange, and I mean there'll be. I think early on in the season, you might see some miscommunication snaps, bad exchanges. I'll say maybe not bad snaps, bad exchanges, and you have to kind of expect that a little bit with the new center. But I think that's going to be minimalistic at most, like maybe once or twice. Probably at the worst, most inopportune times too, as luck would probably have it. But that's going to be something too you have to look forward in Detroit. Look at massive loss for Detroit. Can't sugarcoat it enough. Yeah, we poked a little fun at it, so much so that whatever, I forgot his name already, got upset and mad and decided to attack me personally. Whatever. It's football. Deal with it. Be a man. It's a shock to the system. It's a shock to the system. And while we make light of it, I still think that the bigger point is really the player himself, right? Like, yeah, it hurts the Lions. I get, and we all get that piece of it. But I'm going to go back to Ragnow himself. This is more. I commend Ragnow for choosing his family and his life over a paycheck. On that level, I commend him for doing that, because too many guys don't, and then their quality of life sucks. He's like, look, I already have this issue that I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life. Do I want to make it worse? Do I want to risk another issue? Do I want to have tens of millions of dollars and not be able to enjoy it, not be able to enjoy time with my family, have, a lot of money, but shitty quality of life? I think all of us would agree I'd rather have good quality of life than a truckload of money in the bank account, right? Because if I have all the money in the world and I can't enjoy it, then what's the point of having the money? So I get Ragnow, good on him. Luke Kuechly did the same thing. Other guys have done it. We all get shocked by it, but it's for them. It's for their families. That at the end of the day, that's what's the most important, not our team, right? These dudes are important. Their quality of life and their ability to have a life matters more than us winning a division. So it's kind of selfish for us to think about it in terms of, oh, how dare you retire this young in your career? Well, how dare us be so selfish as to not consider their well-being and health at the same time?
Ken, I would agree with you 99% of the time, but the fact that he decided this after free agency and after the draft, granted, I get, he was trying to work through it. You knew it was bad. If you called it quits now, you knew it was already real bad. That should have been one of those you made your decision a little bit earlier. That way you're not hurting the team as you do it. That, it's going to suck that you're not going to be there, but at least they're going to have an opportunity to fill your spot. Now you're just scrambling to try to make something work for the year.
So on that, Ken, I agree with you on that level. Here's the thing. We don't know what we don't know. Maybe he told the Lions pre-draft and free agency, hey, guys, I'm pondering it. I don't have a decision yet, and I'm thinking about maybe throwing in the towel because, my health and the turf toe issue, whatnot. And he might have said something to them beforehand, and the Lions might have done an internal, okay, guys, what do you think? Do you think he's going to retire? And maybe they said, no, we think he'll play for at least another year or two. We might not have to do anything. We don't know. That may be the case. But if that's not the case, then I completely agree with you, Ken. Give the team the heads up before free agency and the draft so they can try to do so. As far as we know, that may never have happened, or it did happen. The Lions just thought, well, okay, we got – and maybe at the time when they asked him, said, well, what do you think the odds are? And if he said 50-50, right? They might have said, well, we'll go with the 50th that's coming, that you're coming back. And they said, okay, well, we're going to bet that he comes back. And they just lost that bet.
Yeah, I'd say anything below 80, I'm already making contingency plans.
Me too.
Because
Me too.
they might have got into the trap of thinking, well, this guy's already played this for so long and dealt with it. He's going to be able to do it again, not realizing that each time he does, it's knocking a little bit more off the guy.
Motel Mitch is in the building. Hey, Eric, you don't get to talk about Geno Smith when your quarterback is Danger Russ, dude. I'm sorry. Like,
well, his real quarterback's Jordan Love.
You wouldn't be able to tell the way he glazes
What does Russ
Russ.
say now? Because he's not in Broncos country, so it can't be let's ride. I don't know what he did for the Steelers. What's he saying for? Is he a big blue? I guess he's going to say
Giants country, let's suck.
No, it's good. Giants country, let's squash. It's got to be the stupidest thing you can think of.
You can call him the garbage man. He's playing in North Jersey.
There we go. So
That's not the only reason.
Ways forward. Look, this has happened, right? This has happened. It's over. In a season where now Ragnow is left. Oh wait, I got a better one. I'm sorry. The Pope is a Bears fan. Jordan Love is healthy, and J.J. McCarthy's a starter. What happens in Detroit? What do they look like now without Ragnow? What do they do to what can they do? Are there some free agent possibilities out there? Because like Broski said, they've got money. Money's not an issue for them. What's available to them? Or are they going to try to keep it in-house with the 5 or 6 guys they had play center during OTAs?
I mean, Brad Holmes is very stubborn, so I think they're probably just going to try to keep it in-house. But really, their only true way to solve this problem is to make a trade. Like, they have to trade for a quality center. That's really it. There's no free agents out there at this point in time. And, even if they trade for a good center, it's still a complex offense to learn. The O-line still has to gel together and play together. And you're going to have 2 new starting guards as well. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, Mitch, I applaud your confidence in your team like a good fan should. No, I like when you lose one of the best centers in the league, you say nothing really changes. And Ken, I'm sorry to say this, but you almost sound, Mitch, like a Packers fan. Because Packer fans, when a guy leaves and another guy comes in, and Ken, this is true because especially when the smack talk is rolling, Packer fans like, oh well, this other guy. I mean, we breed offensive linemen; they grow in my backyard, and it'll be no problem. And I'm sorry, but you can't take a guy of quality like that and just replace him. And Packer fans, even like Bears fans, we do it too with linebackers.
I was about to say
we all have our position groups, but Mitch, you sound like a Packers fan talking about their O-line, and you're not the Packers with the O-line. You don't have the history. You've had a couple years of it being good. Packer fans at least have some history to back that up a little bit about producing offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman. Detroit doesn't. I'm sorry, you're not going to replace Ragnow just lickety-split in 1 year. Or, I mean.
John Dorn with the stats. Hey, Mitch, he's giving you the numbers. You love the numbers. There's the numbers. 54 PFF grade for Glasgow at center.
And Ken, the Pope really got tired of all the sacrilege of him being in the Bears shit, so he figured he'd put out the real picture of his fandom.
Now that's sacrilege right there, concerning he's a Chicago Bears fan, but that's okay. You can try that, Ken. You can try that.
See, we figure we'd give him something about being on a winning team, not one that's been perpetually losing with 15 wins in 3 years.
Only Ken can take something we're kind of. Well, never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
Look. I mean,
that's what I'm here for.
Back to the point, though. It's like the Packers when they talk that trash, and normally they're wrong. By the way, it does the reaction time is a little bit longer than what they think, but they do produce good linemen overall. They do draft good linemen overall, but there's always a drop off initially, right? So and even with the Packers, who are better at that's their shtick. quarterbacks and linemen. That's their shtick. And you know what? They even get a drop off and they lose a big player suddenly like that. So, Mitch, for you to sit there and say we're going to lose one of the best centers in the league and there's going to be no drop off because Glasgow, who has a 54 PFF grade, that center, and then you can come back and say, oh, PFF's a joke. Okay, look, I might even agree with you on some level. I know Broski hates PFF. I mean, a lot of guys who hate PFF. The PFF is still an indicator of how guys are looked at by GMs and people in terms of pay and how good they are. Dude, the best people PFF grade high for a reason because they're really good. If you're not PFFing high, you're probably not really good compared to the other guy. I mean, there's a drop-off there. Glasgow cannot come in and be Frank Ragnow. I'm sorry, he just can't. He's not going to. He'd have to play out of his mind all year. And look, could that happen? Well, sure. That could happen. And aliens could land at Ken's house to eat his secret brownies he's cooking. I don't think that's going to happen.
That is a good possibility. Or it might just be that I ate the whole pan instead and I'm just seeing the aliens.
I was just going to say, that's more likely.
Mitch had a good question here to kind of shift the topic a little bit from this retirement. How would NFL fans react if a Super Bowl got pulled from a place it was scheduled to take place at? Just wondering because I'm pissed they canceled WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans to go back to Las Vegas.
Can't say I blame them.
Yeah, I was going to say that would cause a hell of an uproar because as soon as it's announced, you got people that are already starting to make plans for it and that. So I can assume that judging by the other things that have happened in the NFL with slight change, that people are going to let that go over too well. I think they'd lose their minds over it.
I mean, look, a good person to ask in a way is Luka, right? Because Luka had planned to go to L.A. to see the Vikings-Rams game in L.A., and then they up and shifted and moved it to Arizona. And he made the trip to Arizona. He had to lift and shift all his plans. I'm sure that cost him a pretty penny. But I think, in that case, obviously there was a reason for it, right? There was a significant event happening in L.A. where they had to move the game. When it comes to something like moving a WrestleMania or a Super Bowl or a big event, it'd be interesting to see what the reasoning is for it because there'd have to be a reason. Many people don't know this. For the World Cup, the default setting is the United States. I.e., if they couldn't have had the Cup in Qatar the last time, let's say something went wrong. The stadiums weren't done. There was a significant environmental event that happened there or a big terrorist event that happened prior, and they'd have to move the World Cup. It would come to the U.S. because the U.S., we have the infrastructure. We have the stadiums, the hotels, the media infrastructure. We have all that. If something was going on in NOLA, where they moved it to Vegas because Vegas is a better venue for that reason, or that's their default venue, then cool. But if they just moved it because, we like Vegas better, and for the Super Bowl, I think that'd be the same thing, right? If the Super Bowl is supposed to be Miami, unless there's a hurricane, which is not going to happen because it's February, I don't see them moving it. But let's say something happened in Miami and they had to move it due to a weather concern, or something like, a hurricane in February, which never happens, but let's say it did. I think fans would be understandable, right? I mean, that's never happening for the Super Bowl, has it? I don't think it's ever been moved for any reason. So
I don't know if you guys saw it, but Bill also dropped a comment in the chat, said that the Vikings, there's some people on the inside of the Vikings building that are saying that they might be in on Rodgers because they're not sure that McCarthy is going to come back 100% from the injury. That's interesting.
Yeah, Luka, you travel a lot, dude. That is interesting. Yeah, there's a couple things I've dropped the last couple of days about some free agents.
If the Vikings are really concerned, that's interesting. That means that JJ is not
Joe,
as far along as they would like.
Kind of go back to we're in clickbait season with that. I wonder what the validity of that report is.
Because I've been hearing it throughout OTAs there that JJ's been lighting it up.
Yeah, I mean, look I think there was a report that came out yesterday ESPN reported, like on Nick Chubb, that he's going to wait closer to camp to sign. And I think that's going to be true of Rodgers. I think that's going to be true of a couple other guys who are out there. We're not going to see anything for about another month and a half, mid-July maybe. I don't think we're going to see anything on those guys for a minute, and we're just going to get a bunch of clickbait rumor articles like, oh no, Vikings, because look at, and you got to think about that. Some guy who wants some clickbait, dude, I'd almost write an article and post on some website saying Vikings are concerned about JG on Aaron because you got all the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre stuff going on and all that.
It's clickbait, and there's Rodgers out there. Those things go hand in hand better than that coffee mug in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mitch. We moved on. So
go. Like I mean, to this day, we still none of us has any idea.
I truly think it's the Steelers or retirement.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Luke? Newsweek used to be a credible source, right? All the sources that used to be credible are not, because they're all in the business of writing this crap. Because look, they want to feed the algorithm and get clicks. I get why they would. Oh my God, Mitch is now saying how convenient we moved on for Ragnar. Okay, let's go back to Mitch's big point about how he was so right. How Glasgow is going to be. Here we go. Is this it? Go ahead, Dorn. Tell me how terrible, according to PFF, Glasgow was the season before last. So he's still on this kick that Glasgow is going to be just as good as Ragnar at center.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how Glasgow played guard last year. I mean, he's 32 years old, and he's just going to learn center and learn how to direct traffic in this complex offense.
Broski, it's his natural position from a decade ago.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I hope they naturally leave him out there so he can naturally get steamrolled every other play.
And you didn't look at his PFF grade from 2 years ago. Apparently, it was really good. I'm glad that Mitch knows something about MMA because at least he knows something about one sport.
I mean, okay, I'll defend Mitch a little bit, man. He's defending his team. I got it. But Mitch, then right there you concede the point then, because that's what we're saying. It's not going to be as good. You're not going to be fine because you can't replace them. You might be. Well, let me hold on. You might be fine, but not initially. It's going to take some time for you to be fine there. It's not going to be week 1 you're going to be okay. Week 5, 6, 7 you might start looking okay. There's going to be an adjustment period. Even if Glasgow can be serviceable, there's going to be an adjustment period. And let's face it, it's not like they're going to throw Glasgow out there for 40 snaps a game in preseason. He'll get every other starter and get his 18 to 20 snaps for the entire preseason.
I can tell you, with a brand new center, I'd be letting them rock it out in preseason a little bit more.
You would think,
yeah, but they don't. And let's keep this in mind, too. So Glasgow starting at center. He's going to have 2 new guys starting on either side of him. He's going to have Mahogany, a first-time starter. He's not proven, and a rookie guard on the other side. That's not going to help.
Hey, can we look at the Lions' schedule, the first 7 weeks? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's just a tough schedule, top to bottom, and
that I want to see their first 7 games, because let's take Ken's argument into account that week 5, 6, 7 is where they finally their offensive line will get the ship righted. I just want to see what their schedule looks like.
They're going to be playing teams like Kansas City, Tampa, Baltimore.
Hold on, yeah, I got the whole schedule. Week 1 at Detroit. Week 1 at Lambeau. They go to Green Bay. And then September 14th they get the Bears. September 22nd they go to Baltimore and get the Ravens. September 28th they come home and get the Browns. And then October 5th they go to Cincy and get the Bungles. And then after that they go to Kansas City and get the Chiefs. Then they come home and get the Bucs. So they get Baker, who beat them there last year. Then they get Minnesota November 2nd. Then they go to Landover and get the Commanders. I mean, look at their schedule's not easy to begin
Yeah,
with.
that's what I mean.
Then
Like,
they get Philly, then they get the Giants, then they get the Packers, then they get the Cowboys. I'm not even going home and away at this point. Then they go to SoFi in December, get the Rams. Then they get Pittsburgh. I mean, then Minnie, then Chicago. No date yet.
the Packers and
A lot of
Bears
tough
to
defenses.
lead off the season can slam the door shut on this little mini 2 to 3 year run of Detroit Lions. They can just end them at the beginning of the season. I really feel that. And if the Packers and Bears both beat the Lions, the Ravens are going to smoke the Lions in Baltimore. And then by then they'll be so beat up. I mean, Cleveland's not even going to be an easy game for them.
I mean,
Out
Mitch,
of that first 7 games,
even if I agree with you, Mitch, all right, it's gonna take them time to adjust at the NFL level. I mean, like I may agree with you that Glasgow is a good enough pro, right? That you can slide him over and he can be serviceable, but it's gonna take a minute of actual gameplay for him to be good, like better than just serviceable, right? There's going to be a big drop off for him. So Joe's saying the Lions are going to. Joseph is saying the Lions are still going to go 5-2 in that stretch. Wow.
dude,
Yeah, actually, there you go.
that's crazy.
Look,
5-2.
Yeah. Now we don't have Wilson anymore.
Let's go around the horn here. Like, out of that first 7 games, how many wins do you see for the Lions? I'm gonna say 3 max.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, if they don't trade for a center, and like get a good center and get them up to speed, yeah, they're going 2-5.
Yeah, I mean the problem is there's no cupcake games anywhere on their schedule. I mean they've got every game for them is a hard game.
The only one that I would give them that they might match up well with is Cincinnati, just for the fact of Cincinnati's not known for having,
A defense.
a whole bunch of immense pressure. They've got one good guy on that defensive line, and Penei Sewell can wall him off, so they got a shot with that one.
And keep this in mind: like the Lions have been a better road team than home team. So
that's
playing
a road game
Cleveland
for
week
them,
4 in Detroit, I'm telling you, playing Cleveland in Detroit week 4, especially if they're 0-3 going into that, like that means they're probably going to be beat up. It's not going to be like, oh, they're due for a win. They're going to, circle the wagon. It's going to be like, no, they're actually just like on the verge of collapse. And Cleveland's defense is going to be possibly like, top 2 or 3 in the league this year.
Luckily for them, the game against Cincy is a away game. So going with that, according to PFF, top free agents, Bill asked me to look up centers. Obviously, Dahlman is off the board. No, I want to do this by.
I tried looking it up too, and all I could come up with were the ones that were available at the beginning of free agency.
But now those
there's a way
guys
to do
start to
it.
become more attractive because you need one.
Yeah. Obviously, Drew Dahlman's gone. Ryan Kelly signed. I'm looking at the top ones that they haven't signed. Here we go. Daniel Brunskill played for Tennessee last. He is still unsigned at 31.3 years of age. Connor McGovern, who last played for NOLA at 32.1 years of age, is unsigned. Even not Hainsley signed from Tampa. And that's it for the top guys. So old guys. But, I get where he's coming at. There is a possibility of maybe you sign one of them. There isn't much out there, though, Bill. That's the hard part. There is not much out there. Okay, Bros.
I think you have to sign one of those guys. Signing them to start, I still think you have to sign one of those guys for depth.
I think you sign one for depth, and maybe you start Glasgow to start, right? Because he's probably like maybe the guy who can handle it. And you start him and bring the other guy up to speed and make the switch at some point in the season.
Yeah.
One thing you're not taking into consideration, the fact the Lions will not have the entire roster in IR to start the season. No, we're taking that into consideration, Mitch.
Yeah.
Look, this is a big deal to lose him, and it hurts them significantly. And now look at. Whereas before you didn't have to move Glasgow out of center and you were maybe a little more solid at the guard position. Now you're not as solid at the guard position because you have to move the guy who was serviceable at guard to be maybe, hopefully, a serviceable center if that's the route you go. So you've weakened your offensive line. And offensive line, mind you, that in the playoffs against the Skins and even in the regular season against teams like the Bears got mauled a little bit. That doesn't bode well for you when you see what happens when Goff got a lot of pressure in those games and he started throwing pick sixes. I mean, it's an
we
impact.
still have the rest of the offseason here to get himself reacclimated with the center position. Granted, it's not going to be like you've been playing it for a couple of years,
Right.
but he should at least have the horrible kinks worked out of it.
No, yeah, I totally agree, Ken. And look, we're not saying you guys are going to your offensive line just basically went from being good to being the worst in the NFL. No, we're not saying anything like that. We're saying that it's a significant impact that you just took by losing Frank. I mean, you just lost a lot. Yeah, not much of a list. But
And
you lost
it's not just the offensive line. It trickles down because the biggest strength on that Lions team was their offensive line because it gave Goff the time to make the plays.
Yeah.
So if that's effective, make more bad plays. Like we've seen what happens when Goff gets pressured. It's a trickle down effect. It's also going to affect your run game because now you're not going to be able to go between the tackles as much, or at least not as effectively. But it's going to trickle down to the whole offense.
Well, of course, Jim, it is just speculation right now. But I mean, it's always all speculation until they actually play the games, right? But I mean,
I would call it more an educated guess than speculation.
Yeah. I mean, look, as much as Mitch keeps trying to make the case that this is a nothing burger, because that's what he's trying to do, that Glasgow is going to do it, and it's going to be fine. And look at Mitch. On one level, I hope you're right? But dude, he's not the same player day in and day out, and filling in for a game or two is different than now being the guy. Yep. Have a great day, Nicholas. Love you, brother. Peace. I don't know if he can do it the whole season. I mean, so he's did a couple games, Mitch. Okay, great. Now is he going to do it for all 17 games? Is he going to be able to handle it? You cannot take an all-pro center, have him leave your team, and say, "Oh, well, everything's fine, nothing to see here, nothing's going to change." Bullshit. I'm going to call it what it is. Bullshit.
Now you might not have
made a good point.
a massive drop off, but there will be a little bit just from the quality of a center that Ragnow was.
And Ken, in a league where parity is king, and let's face it, parity is king in this league. When you look at the differences in a lot of these games, it's one play. One play is the difference of winning or losing a game. Now that you've got that Glasgow at center instead of Ragnow, he gives up that one extra pressure, that one extra sack. Now that one play doesn't go your way that would maybe have gone your way before, that's the difference in the ball game. We're not talking it has to be like night and day difference. Even what Ken just said, it can be a shade of difference, and that can be enough to now cost you a game. Go ahead.
And Luka made a good point about that. Basically, Goff killed it when he was blitzed, but he was when they were able to get pressure with 4, and that's the whole thing. Is that with this new and quote improved line, I think that they're going to get a lot more pressure with the front 4. They're not going to have to blitz as much. So, to me, that's bad news for Goff.
And on that note, we have reached the end of the show. We want to thank everybody for watching, especially thank you guys that took your time to comment.
I'm still trying to get them in. I think that's the
Have
last of them.
yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Have a good one, everyone. Enjoy the day.